Raw and Nerdy.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Raw and Nerdy. This is episode number 55. I am Joe the Wigit, and I am joined by the stars of the show themselves, my fellow nerdy co-hosts, starting with Rook.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode. We have no idea what we're talking about, so let's get to it.
It's going to be nerdy, that's all I know.
That's all I know.
We're joined by Archon.
What's up, guys? I know what I'm talking about, so I don't know about you guys. But...
This is 55 episodes of just nerdiness so far.
Yes.
Doesn't it feel like that?
It's the best. I love nerdiness.
Technically, we divided one episode among several different episodes because it was WonderCon.
Well, yeah, but still, I mean, that was a lot of effort. Hey, that was a lot of work. Especially on my end.
Out of the shows we do, this is my favorite one for now.
Oh, no. Guess what we forgot?
Uh-oh. What?
The 26th was the, yesterday was San Diego Comic-Con tickets, I believe.
Oh, oops.
Looks like we're doing WonderCon.
We didn't get it.
Hey, WonderCon was fun.
Yeah, anyway, what I was saying before I got so rudely interrupted with bad news was that, this is like my favorite show that we do because it's not limited to one topic. I could just be as nerdy as I want about whatever I want, so I like it.
Oh, yeah, that's why we decided to do this show, so we could just be our true selves in a public fashion. Hey, nerds are on the rise, man. This is a nerd world. We're in power.
Mm-hmm.
And I even saw
single person on this planet is a nerd for something.
In some way, yeah. But the traditional nerd sense, like what we are for the most part, there was a study done recently, and it was showing that women prefer the nerdy guys now over jocks because of the power and money involved.
Did I do that?
Jeremy and I have to worry about that kind of thing. Derek, he's already good.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I just don't have any luck in that department.
Oh, man. So we've had a week. I know I did. Work has been insane. I was telling the guys beforehand, my job's been super busy lately. I've been working upwards of 60 hours a week or more sometimes. Like, I had a call today from an employee. Can you get on the computer and log into my computer and fix a problem? I was standing right next to my computer, my work computer, and I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't. I'm nowhere near my computer."
Wait, nobody from your job actually listens to this
show. Yeah, I know.
Well, they can if they want. Sunday's my day. Saturday, I have to be on call lately, but Sunday, no. Not happening.
Yeah, I guess if it was today, that'd be no, there's football on.
I work for a union. I'm an IT specialist for a union, and we do these things. Well, they're obviously involved in the election, so it's making everything crazy. Most of the employees have been working 6 days, 5 days, 6 days a week or more, and that's going to end in the first week of November. But we do this little thing called a PAD, which is a Provider Appreciation Day, where we give away free turkeys for the holidays and do games and prizes and all that garbage. And every office does one day for that, and they're all different days. So we still have to support that in the background. But my boss decided he wants us to at least attend and help one of them, like passing out turkeys or something. Thankfully,
do you realize that I am an employee, right? Which means I am supposed to be appreciated on this day, not have to work and pass stuff out.
Right. Providers, which are the people that we support in the union.
I too am one of them.
It's been absolutely insane. It's not going to stop. My coworker, who currently works in the busiest offices in the union, he actually has 5 offices that 2 of his offices equal almost triple the employee count that all my 4 offices have. And he got injured, not on the job, thankfully, but he has to go in for surgery later this month. And he's going to be out for another month or 2. So guess who gets to cover it?
Fun time.
Yep. So I'm not having any, and normally they give us a week and a half off during the holiday season to 2 weeks, from Christmas to New Year's, but they decided not to do that this year. So I have to be on call, at least, and work a few of those days, at least.
Hopefully, if they just decided that week and a half that they would normally give you off, they aren't going to give you off, that they're also going to decide that your salary needs to be higher because that...
Well, it is a review season, so my salary will get higher, but by no more than 4 or 5%.
That's ridiculous.
Even though inflation in California has gone up 12% this year alone.
By the way, we're taking away all your days off, but we're not paying you anymore, so...
Well, they did that 2 years ago, and they gave us a bonus, so I'm hoping that is in effect.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That'd be very, 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 very helpful. Cool. I could use it big time. But when I wasn't doing that stuff, guys, I started a Borderlands marathon. And I brought this up as a kind of a topic. So I know you guys have all played it. I know,
Love Borderlands.
yeah, I know we're fans of it, all three of us. I'm pretty sure Jeremy is.
Yeah, I'm playing it.
Didn't we play it together at one time?
We did. I also played it before I knew you, so.
Yeah. So I started with Borderlands 1 and loaded it back up, and it was weird because it felt like a new game. It's been so long since I played the first one.
Yeah, remember I did that a couple months ago. I was playing number 1. Like, wow, I feel like I don't even remember any of this.
So I decided to go through and just go through the games, one after the other. From Borderlands 1, I was thinking about doing pre-sequel after Borderlands 1, because that technically goes before Borderlands 2, in between them. But I really hate that game, so I decided not to. And I went straight into Borderlands 2. I only did the first playthrough, and I didn't do any DLCs with Borderlands 1. I beat the Vault Monster and went to Borderlands 2, because Borderlands 2, in my opinion, is 1,000 times better. And it got me thinking, why is it so much better than 1? What is the difference between those two? Other than the obvious more guns, more loot. They expanded the skill trees in Borderlands 2.
I think the story's better.
Yeah.
The story. That's the only thing that's
definitely
better.
I agree.
Gameplay is still the same and everything.
But the lands are different. How they built the lands, they're more entertaining and interesting in Borderlands 2 than they are in 1. It felt very dry compared to Borderlands 2.
Mm-hmm.
And so did the quests.
Borderlands 2, they kind of took what everybody loved and expanded on it and just made it bigger and better. Which is how sequels should go. Yeah. In my opinion.
And they nailed it. They created one of the most iconic bad guys in video game history. Handsome Jack. You love to hate the guy.
He's awesome.
I'm iffy on if he's the best bad guy. He's the best annoying guy.
I said iconic. When you talk about
iconic, not the best.
When you think about bad guys in your favorite franchises, what are the ones that come to mind the most? For me, it's always been Handsome Jack.
Sephiroth.
That's another good one.
Kafka.
That shows where your playability is. But
those are the big ones for me.
One thing I did notice about Borderlands 2 that they didn't have in Borderlands 1 is, for one, the legendaries were more customized and less random in Borderlands 2, and they had much better effects. But they also didn't have the synergy builds that Borderlands 2 has. So, like, if you get the B shield, and then you get a heavy fire legendary plus whatever else, and you can completely destroy everything in sight, because there's these combinations that you can get in that game that work. And they work very well. Borderlands 1 just didn't have that. It was just, hey, this gun fits there, I'll put it there. This shield's better than the other one, put it there.
The thing I love is that Borderlands 2 is an amazing game, and it is, like, obviously leaps and bounds better than the first one, but it's still not the best in their series, so...
You don't think so?
The only good... The best thing about Borderlands, all of them, is the cooperative play.
Oh, yeah. I love soloing it, but the co-op play is so much nice.
The co-op play. And it's one of the few games that still offers that, and that's the reason why I really, really like it.
And they have the Borderlands franchise did something very, very, very right. What made it so popular? For one, the story is just freaking fun. It's just fun. It's funny. It's just fun. They perfected the very elusive thing that most gaming companies forget about, and that's the carrot on the stick premise. World of Warcraft was one of the first games to really nail that, and it proved its popularity because of it. And what it does is that it's the idea that there's always something better ahead of you. So it keeps you going, trying to get that something better. Keeps you going, keeps you going. And then they added the whole new game plot, the new games, where you continue off of that.
Well, and the Borderlands franchise also did something completely different in that every one of the games like that in that genre have the exact same graphical style, where Borderlands is, like, very unique in its graphical style.
That's one thing I was going to hit on, too. They actually had a practical reason, other than the fact that, like you said, they wanted to stand out. The art director actually hated the fact that they wanted to go this art direction. The original Borderlands was built more realistic, but then they decided that they can make the game run a lot more seamless and smooth if they use cell shading and basic base textures. So that's what they did, creating the whole art style that they use.
And it's got two of the most annoying and yet memorable characters in all of gaming.
Claptrap.
Has the most annoying.
Claptrap and Handsome Jack. The reason why I say it's not the best in the franchise is because Tiny Tina's Wonderland exists, and that game is amazing.
That's my second favorite. And there's a reason why Borderlands 2 is my first favorite. It's because not only did they nailed the formula perfect on that game for playability. It's smooth, it's awesome. They had the most amount of DLC I've ever seen in a game in terms of adding story content. Tons. Even the little minor ones they added for the seasons and holidays takes hours to go through, and it's just a blast. They created the two my two favorite characters of all time in a video game, Tiny Tina and Mr. Torque. Those two they do it for me.
Yeah, Tiny Tina's hilarious.
She's
especially in Tiny Tina's Wonderlands.
My only complaint about Wonderlands is it was too short.
Yeah, it could have been longer. Wait, didn't they make a second one?
They are making a second one.
Oh, they're making it. They haven't yet. It's not out yet.
They hinted at it. They haven't officially announced it. So my guess is it's going to be coming out shortly after Borderlands 4.
I haven't played that one yet.
Wonderlands?
Which one?
Tiny Tina's Wonderland.
What?
We gotta fix that
I bought
problem.
it for the specific reason for all three of us to play together, but we've never played it.
We were playing it forever, and you just never came in with us. We were playing it for like 2 months.
All you gotta do is hit me up. Hey, Joe.
I'll play that game whenever.
I want to play this game.
I don't
or
know.
this
The
game.
last
Let's do
time
it.
I've been trying to hit you up the game, you've been too busy, sir.
You want to do a tabletop. That takes many, many, many hours.
No, it takes 45 minutes to do the thing I wanted
A video
to do.
game is different because I don't have to put all my focus into it.
Yeah, anytime. Just send us a message.
I'm telling you, man, I'm going to do the tabletop with you. I promise.
I'll even start
I don't believe you anymore. You've let me down too many times, sir.
Well, you were trying to get me to do things when I got busy.
Exactly. That's the best time to try doing things.
I love you, man. Love hanging out with you, but come on, give me a break.
We still have yet to find a game, or we still have yet to all three log into the same game and play together on something.
Yes, we have.
What?
Enshrouded.
Yeah.
Oh, that is true. We did play Enshrouded together. Were we all on? Yeah, we were all on time for a little while.
Yep.
Okay.
We ran their
statement.
dungeons.
Yeah, you're right. I retracted my statement. We did play Enshrouded together for a while.
What is your guys' go-to characters to play in Borderlands 1 and 2?
Mordecai.
Mordecai was my favorite one. I wound up playing
I can't remember who I ran
Roland
all the time
recently.
into. Can't remember who I ran into.
Zero was my first character in Borderlands 2.
I always went Phoenix.
No, Zero.
What?
Zero's the one I ran.
I ran the Phoenix in the first one. Was it Lilith?
Lilith,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Lilith in the first
The
one.
Siren.
And then the second one, the Siren, that's what I meant. In the second one, she's known as the Phoenix, right?
Yeah, I just actually rescued her before we started recording.
And then the second one, what's the mech class? The one where you get the mech.
Oh, the DLC character?
Yeah.
The Necromancer.
Yes.
I'm actually playing her right now.
I love the mech.
The Gunzerker was a lot of fun, and I played the Soldier, but he was eh. I think I played every character except Craig in Borderlands 2, because my son played Craig.
That's also the difference between the Borderlands 1 and Borderlands 2 is Borderlands 1, you're playing a specific character. Borderlands 2, you are playing a specific class, which is, kind of the same.
Yeah, they're pretty much the same.
You get to name your character.
Yeah, that's one difference. And they did definitely make a lot of improvements in your character in Borderlands 2. They expanded on everything, from the look of your outfits and stuff like that. It's so much better. So much better.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys remember your favorite guns or grenade mods?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, the only thing I can remember is a B shield. That was my go-to in Borderlands 2.
I do have one issue with your notes.
What's that?
I didn't think Borderlands 3 was that bad. I like the story.
Well,
of Borderlands
that's why I did the second part of that note.
The pre-sequel, I don't think I ever played.
I never played the pre-sequel, but Borderlands 3 was all right.
And see, the
I
problem
heard
with
the pre-sequel was okay, but I heard that the Tales ones were kind of bad.
the first Tales was great.
The second one, I heard the second Tales was
Yeah, I never played that one. But the pre-sequel that drove me nuts is the story of that game. And they used all their Australian studio to do it, so they had all Australian actors, and some of the voice acting was just awful. Not anything against, their accent or anything like that. It's just the voice actors they chose they hurt my ears. They were just bad. They weren't good actors. And that's what really drove me nuts. The story was okay. Like the Rise of Handsome Jack, cool. The playable characters, though, what makes that game worth playing. Like, I got to play as Claptrap. That's all I wanted to do.
Oh, yeah, I remember you do get to play as Claptrap in that one. But can't you just turn off the voices and turn on, subtitles or something?
Even then, you can read the bad acting. But you could. That's tempting. I mean, they included new frost weapons and stuff like that. So the game, it was just the acting that drove me insane. There's a couple of characters in that game where I just dread to go talk to in the game because it drives me up a wall.
Well, I don't feel like you're going to complete your marathon until you've played them all. including the pre-sequel and the terrible Tales from the Borderlands.
Maybe I'll just do it in order of release because the pre-sequel came out after Borderlands 2 and then Borderlands 3.
Yeah, and then Tales.
I'm kind of excited to play Borderlands 3 because I've only played through it once.
I don't think I ever finished it. I think I got really far into it, but I then got distracted with probably, knowing me, either Final Fantasy 14 or some form of
MMO.
World of Warcraft expansion or something, and then I never went back to it.
A lot of people consider Borderlands 3 to be one of the worst ones. I liked it. I can see where some of the elements where the story was kind of dry, but the vehicles, the different types of vehicles that you can get and how you can mod up your vehicles was a blast.
Yeah.
Which one?
Borderlands 3.
Yeah, me and you've played that together.
Yeah.
Back when I was still in Cali.
Yep. That's the one time I played through it. I don't remember if you and I actually beat it, though.
I don't think we did.
No. I think it was with my son is the one I beat the game with.
Mm-hmm. No, because we started playing it, and then we got into sports.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, I do look forward to Borderlands 4. They haven't said much anything about it other than they did release a little nugget that it's going to be the first Borderlands to be seamless. So there's not going to be any loading into zones anymore. It's going to be in one giant map.
Interesting.
Are they going to have Kevin Hart play Roland in it?
Oh, if they do that, the game's going to immediately fail.
Sure hope not.
Now, him as a voice actor, okay, maybe. But actually playing a 6'5" gruff soldier, serious soldier, the only serious character in the game.
That movie was...
It was bad.
I still haven't seen it. I haven't
subjected
myself to that.
You don't got to see it to see how bad it is. Just
right.
Look online.
So I'm going to continue my marathon. I've been having an absolute blast. Okay, my luck was in full effect on Borderlands 1. I didn't get my first legendary until I was level 30. And I had only about an eighth of the game left to go. Then I wound up getting 2 more, but that was it. I found 3.
When I played Borderlands 1, that time when I was talking to you about it, the very first mission where you have to go to that Psycho Mantis base or whatever, I got my first legendary.
Of course. Borderlands 2 though, I got my first 2 legendaries by the time I hit level 6.
Yeah.
I think that was the way the game was designed though, because it was hard to get legendaries in one.
Did you guys know there's actually 2 different tiers of legendaries in Borderlands 1 and 2?
No.
They have the light orange and the dark orange. Dark orange are considered are better than the light orange.
Yeah.
And I never paid attention.
Yeah. I looked for those, trust me. I found 2 dark orange ones and they were awesome. And in Borderlands 2, they actually introduced Artifact, which is a grade higher than legendary. But you had to go through your second playthrough to get it.
Fun.
All right, so I had an interesting book idea, guys. I want your opinion on it really quick. What about a book that is set 3,000 years in the future from now, where society has reverted to more of a medieval style because at some point there was some catastrophic event and society had to redo, and now we're back to the Middle Ages, where magic is kind of a thing, but not in a normal way. And the story I want to do would follow around an archaeologist who is studying old Earth from our time and how he interprets the artifacts that he finds.
So you want to write a story in the world of Horizon Zero Dawn?
Almost, yeah, but a little bit more advanced than Horizon. But
he wants to write an Uncharted in the Horizon Zero Dawn era.
Yes.
There you go. Well, I thought about it, archaeologists, how do we know if they got anything right about any of these societies?
Right.
The thing that they could say is this was a temple to worship a god. Well, what if it was just someone built a nice building based off their favorite story?
Yeah, or when they're like, oh, we know by all these hieroglyphics on this wall that the civilization was this and this. What if it was just a kid's room and they just drew on the walls?
Now, here's the problem. We have never gone to school for this, so we honestly do not understand how the archaeologists know or can deduct this information.
Well, I didn't go to college for it, but I've studied it a lot. And they're about 95% guesswork. Based off what we know today. That's the caveat there. Based on what society is today. Society could have been completely, and for the most part, we do know they were completely different.
How do we know the ancient Egyptians didn't just let their kids draw on the walls? How do we know? We don't.
And there seems to be no such thing as fiction in Old World.
Yeah, there is. I'm going to piss a lot of people off if I say my thoughts, but yeah, there is.
What's that?
I'm not going there.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Let's not open that. I know which can of worms you're going to open, and let's not open that can.
Speaking of books, though,
but there's a lot of fiction out there, but it's all for for the peoples that we really don't know much about, we don't know what their art was. Like William Shakespeare and his fiction. A lot of people back in ancient Roman times thought philosophy was fiction.
True. And there was a couple of writings or scrolls that they had found that they believed to be like historical documents, which later discovered to be fiction. And they they wrote actually full scientific documents based off of the reality of those scrolls. A lot of people think that, who did it that did the whole Atlantis, the Iliad?
Odysseus?
Yeah, I think it might have been. That's a work of fiction, as far as we know.
Yeah.
Homer,
right. Yeah, it was Homer.
Imagine doing like your entire, like, devoting your entire life and thesis to like studying this document and then realizing it was just like, somebody wrote a story.
It was a child's bedtime story.
In a way, you could still defer how the people were in that civilization based on those fictional works, because fiction is based in a sense of reality.
Sort of, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm a writer, and I do have to base what I write on some semblance of reality.
Mm-hmm.
Science fiction can go a little bit beyond that bounds, but when in fantasy, we have to kind of stick to it in a way, but we get more freedom when it comes to building the religion and environment more than science fiction, which is why I like fantasy. It takes a lot more work to write it, because you do have to create the entire world from scratch, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And I write epic fantasy because I don't like following the rules of high fantasy.
How funny would it be if we find out that Atlantis is based off a story that, what's his name, read, and it was all fiction?
Maybe.
I don't know. I kind of on the theory that maybe Atlantis did exist, but not in the way that people think.
What if Star Wars really did exist? Or what if it really does exist? We think it's fiction, but it really did happen in a galaxy.
George Lucas is actually from there.
What if it did happen a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and he was telling the truth the whole time, and we just thought he was telling us a story?
Brain is blown.
An ancient alien came and talked to George Lucas and gave him this.
Is an ancient alien.
Ooh.
That's more believable.
All right. So, where were we?
I recorded and released Chapters 6, 7, and 8 of Emperor of Continia, my little audiobook here. If you're interested in that, I have Chapters 1 through 6 currently available. 7 will be released on Tuesday, and 8 will be released on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try to do 2 to 3 chapters per week and keep it on that release schedule. So Saturday night or Sunday morning for one chapter, and then Tuesday and Thursday for the other chapters. It takes a lot of work. There was one chapter 6, where I actually did really well and only made about 15 mistakes. Chapter 7 was thankfully, mercifully, a short chapter because I write my books through story chunks. So I have these main story arcs that I want to hit throughout the book. Chapter 7 was the first major story arc. So the chapter was shorter, like half the size of a normal chapter, to hit that key point. So that's a little bit of a shorter one, but it's very important to the story. And 8, my son's favorite chapter, was much longer, and that took me an hour and a half to edit for a 28-minute reading.
Jeez. And
I should just do a collage of all my mistakes and the slew of swear words that come with those mistakes. I'm trying to remember all these voices that I'm doing for each of these characters, and I kept getting the king mixed up with Rogart, and trying to get Valaris's girl voice was not fun.
Oh boy.
But I'm having a blast with it, and I did add some music in the background of 2 really key points in the story, just to try to emphasize it a little bit. So let me know what you guys think, and if I need to work on something, or if you have any ideas of how I can improve it, let me know. I'm trying to get it to where I can actually do these 3 chapters with minimal mistakes, and not want to pull my hair out in editing and post-edit. But that is pretty much my week, other than I watched a Korean show called Physical 100, which was interesting. They take the 100 most fit people from different walks of life and different sports and professions to compete in these physical challenges until one remains. I actually found it to be pretty fascinating. Boring at times, but fascinating.
Huh.
So yeah, that's been my week.
What'd you do, Rook?
Things. Lots and lots of things. But none of it was fun.
No.
I'm going to say you
that's
only
a crappy
have
week,
4
man.
things written down, man.
Well, let's see. I watched NCIS Origins.
3
I'm loving
things.
that
Yes,
show.
3 things written down.
Played some Star Trek Online because for some reason I've been on a massive Star Trek kick this week. But I get like that. I'll be just sitting there watching something on YouTube. Star Trek comes up, and then it'll get me on this kick where I want to do everything Star Trek for like a
Yeah.
month or two.
Well, I don't play Star Trek video games, but man, I'm itching to watch those shows again. I really, really want to watch Strange New Worlds over again.
Star Trek Online is actually a good Star Trek game. That's where they got the Enterprise F design from in Picard. But I'm starting to realize that the LA County Sheriff's Department reminds me of Doofy from Scary Movie.
Oh no.
That's how competent they are.
What happened?
Apparently when the officer told me that there's no reason to do a police report for the break-in of my house because there's no video evidence or anything, and that he'll file an incident report. He documented it as just holding on to the info for the incident, not an actual report. So now I have to go to my police department here, file a police report here so they can mail it back to the sheriff's department in LA, and then wait for that to get processed so I can actually get my report and give it to my insurance company.
I didn't even really know your house was broken into.
Yep, somebody broke into my house to try stealing copper from behind the fridge and flooded the entire house.
Oh, that is so awesome.
This happened a couple months ago. I remember seeing it on Facebook, and I was like, oh, no.
Yep, so I'm on hold. Right now, I've got to get the claim done so I can actually pay the contractor that did the emergency cleanup to keep it from actually getting worse with mold. But ServPro can't go in and do the full repair until I get the claim done, which needs the police report.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to see it.
Wasn't this like almost like just a few weeks after you moved?
No, it was the end of.
Been in Texas very long.
It's the end of September.
I didn't think you'd been in Texas.
It was like 19th of September.
I'm still jealous that you two don't live in California.
Yes, I am so glad I moved.
Yeah.
It sucks I moved away from my best friend, but outside of that, my mental well-being has been so much better here, except for the VA department. The VA department here, because I got used to Washington and the greater Seattle area VA clinics, and then the greater LA area VA clinics where I could call in to set up the appointment. Well, or to register. Well, here you actually have to physically go to the clinic to register before you can actually do stuff. Which means I got to take a morning to go and set all that up.
Yeah, you've been having a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, let me tell you. I'll be glad when I'm done with this house, because if I can just win $400K and pay off this house completely, I will sell it as is and take what I can get. And then just be done with it, because affording rent and affording a mortgage is really taxing my income.
Yeah. I hear you. I had almost an identical situation, except mine was just a pipe blue, and mine did cause a bunch of mold, and I ended up with paying 2 house payments for almost a year.
Yeah.
So
I'm hoping that's not the case for me.
It sucked pretty bad. What else did you do?
That's pretty much all I did, except for Wigit ignoring me this weekend.
I feel so bad because I forgot to reply back to you yesterday. I'm so sorry about that.
It's all good. We've all been busy. Hey, Derek, I mentioned that already.
Oh, I didn't hear you mention that.
I said I watched NCIS Origins, and I'm loving it so far.
I think you read it, but I don't think you said it out loud.
I said it out loud.
You just did.
Twice.
All right.
No, I said that right before I talked about the Star Trek Online.
Well, after 90 days, basically 3 long months, I'm finally medically cleared to go back to work.
Woo-hoo!
So tomorrow, or as you guys are listening to this, it'll be today. I will be back full time at work. Thank goodness, because paying 2 mortgages sucks, but also only getting 28 hours a week sucks.
That's even worse when you got a family to take care of.
I know. My wife is ready to stop working overtime every week.
I bet. I am too.
Yeah.
I just don't get paid for it.
Yeah. The new season of Superman and Lois started not that long ago, a few weeks ago, and I've been catching up on episodes of that. There's 4 episodes out. Next one comes out on Tuesday. And I really like that show. I don't know why. Other than Smallville, that is my favorite Superman show. Like, the movie is different. I mean, I count that differently, but like out of the shows, I really like Superman and Lois because the guy who plays Superman does a really good job. The lady who plays Lois does a really good job, and it focuses more on like his family life because they have kids and stuff too.
Oh, okay.
And it's just it's really cool. And at the end of season 3 was when Doomsday shows up, and like right as he's showing up, the season ends. So I've been waiting for this season to start, and from what I've heard, I'm pretty sure this is the last season. So I want to see how it all wraps up. But like, man, does the season start good though? That's all I'm gonna say. Like, holy cow, it started good. Been playing EverQuest like normal.
Yeah.
With this new expansion, I told you guys I decided to go Beast Lord, and my Beast Lord is becoming crazy. Like, I'm out here soloing things I have no business. Like, I'm doing his epic quest right now, and it tells you, oh yeah, bring a group of level 55 plus people to do this. I'm out here soloing it by myself. Saying bring 6, I bring 1.
Balancing issues.
I am No, I just have like such good gear on him already, and it's just really good. And then today, I started listening to the first half of I've gotten about halfway through the new episode of the Joe Rogan Experience podcast. And I'm not going to say one way or the other. I know we don't get into political stuff on this show, and I'm not going to say one way or the other which way I'm leaning. But in this episode, he interviews Trump. And I think it's a very good interview. And I think it doesn't matter which way you're leaning in this election. I think you should listen to it because it's not the typical...
If you're from the U.S.
Yeah, if you're from the U.S. Because it's not the typical one candidate slamming another one and him asking questions designed to trip him up or go against the other one. It's just, it's him talking about things like when you won the first presidency years ago, like what was it like, the first time you walked into the White House and like what was it like? And he's just, it's like a real in-depth interview of just like people talking. And I love it. It's been really good so far. It's been really informational. It's been cool to just get like a non... Because, I mean, if you know anything about the elections, Trump is... Before he was president, he was never really into politics. He was a TV star and a business mogul and stuff.
Probably the most famous businessman in U.S. history.
Yeah, he wasn't a politician. So, like, getting his perspective on what it was like to just suddenly be in the White House and be the president, like... It's kind of cool, like just hearing what that experience was like and stuff, and it's a good listen so far. Like I said, I'm only about halfway through, but I've been enjoying it. It's been good information. So
it's funny. I
highly recommend it.
I have friends from all over the world, and some really good ones that are in the UK, and they were telling me not long ago that they follow our elections, presidential elections, more than anything that they do in their own country. They were telling me how our elections mean more to the world than their individual.
You go to any other country and they know more about what's going on with our government than our basic American does.
Than a lot of Americans do, yeah, because like it's
important for the world economy.
Yeah, mm-hmm. As a country, we interfere, like we get involved in so much around the world that whatever we do here affects everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why the U.S. is considered the only superpower in the world right now.
Yeah, like if
don't tell Russia that.
But at the same point, like honestly, think about it though. Like somebody like Kim Jong-un in Korea, like if they were to overthrow him and there was an election of some sort there, we'd be pretty interested over here too. Because that would be huge. Mm-hmm. That's a big thing. So when a major player in
the world stage,
world stage, when a major player in the world stage changes, it's
of course.
Big. It's big. So. Yeah, so I do highly recommend it. Outside of our podcast, which is obviously one of the best, the Joe Rogan Experience is an amazing podcast. I love listening to it. He's hilarious.
We aspire to get to their level of listenership.
I know, right?
That particular podcast is the #1 podcast in the world. So I mean,
but
it'd be nice to be on his level.
I don't want the type of listeners. I want the nerdy listener.
And there's billions of those, so let's hit them all. Let's get them all.
If we could get a listener base equal to LA Comic-Con's, what's it called? Attendance, I would be okay with that.
If any of our listeners are really good with marketing, professionally or semi-professionally, hit us up. We want to talk to you.
Yes, very much so.
Might have some work for you.
Paid work.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so there's really not much going on too much in the news right now. The whole article that you put down with NVIDIA overtakes Apple is something I did read and research into.
Mm-hmm.
Did you read it at all?
Yeah, I did. Like, as of Friday, they overtook them. Says NVIDIA dethroned Apple as the world's most valuable company on Friday following a record-setting rally in the stock. It's a lot to do with AI.
Yeah, it's almost all AI.
That's the big thing. I mean, NVIDIA is like the number one company in the world for AI. So, like, yeah, they went huge. And I mean, it's not much, but I say it's not much, but it's a lot. Like NVIDIA hit 3.53 trillion and Apple's at 3.52 trillion. So it seems like they're not a lot, but yeah, 0.02 trillion that's a lot of money.
That's a few $billion, sir.
That's a lot of $1 billion, sir.
I'm curious about what you guys think.
I would gladly take that for a day.
Right.
Just live off the interest I made that day.
Yeah, I could probably live off of that for the rest of your life. Let me see. Okay, Google is doing... I know we don't cover AI too much. We really should, though, in some cases, because it is kind of a big deal nowadays. But Google is developing an AI that they're going to be announcing later this month more publicly and when it's going to be released. But it basically is a website assistant. So the idea is that when you want to do a shopping list, you would tell this AI what you want to do for shopping. It would then take over your browser and go to all the sites and do all their orders and setup without you.
That's funny because
I
no
don't
joke.
like that.
No joke. That is the other article I have pulled up on my screen right now. That I was going to talk about. Yeah, anything like it's going to help you with anything like research, shopping, things like that. It can literally take over your browser and just do it for you.
Yep. See, as a IT specialist, the whole AI thing kind of scares me because I don't want to put me on my job. But I've used AI in some of our systems that we use at work, and it's dumb. So right now I'm safe.
See, there's a lot of it I don't like. It bugs me, like especially like the stuff that's out already in the applications that I see just from, like, for instance, my daughter. Like, she is not learning the things that she could be learning in school because she can type whatever she wants into ChatGPT and the AI will give her the answers to all of her work, and she doesn't have to even try. And it's like, I'll ask her about something she learned in class 2 weeks ago and she'll have no clue because ChatGPT did it for her. It's like, and something like this, something that can do research for you, like that.
I got a feeling schools are going to have to adapt. The only way kids are going to actually learn is if you actually, in my opinion, get rid of homework. That way, they're not cheating on doing it with ChatGPT and stuff.
There's a lot of countries that don't do homework, and they get much higher average test grades in the U.S.
Right, because the kids have more time to study for their tests and stuff because they're not busy doing homework. Like, I get that the homework is supposed to be designed, but like, they're having to do stuff like I could be like just fishing here, but I am almost positive that the whole Common Core nonsense math that makes you take 10 sheets of paper to do one problem is to combat things like ChatGPT, because they have to do it in this way and show all their work and how they got there, and you can't cheat it like you can.
Well, in normal math, you had to show your work anyway, above basic.
But
not lately.
But this Common Core math, I haven't heard much about it.
Oh, it's terrible.
Texas, I don't think still offers it anymore. Even the guy who created it says it's terrible. All right.
Yeah.
It is. It's a nightmare for parents.
Joke.
And then they'll the teachers will be like, "Yeah, when you go home, have your parents help you with this." None of us know how to do that nonsense. None of us were taught that. Like, what are we supposed to help?
I find it funny with Common Core. Teachers are teaching Common Core, and you see a kid do their homework, and it's the exact answer that the equation's asking, and it's because they didn't do it Common Core style.
Yeah.
I dated someone, or I was my girlfriend for 3.5 years. She had a 10-year-old daughter who would bring her homework home. And I'd be the one to help her because her mom couldn't. It was pretty bad, and she brought her math questions home. They were common math, the Common Core math, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to pull my hair out. I said, nope, I'm teaching you the real way right now. Then you can do this because you have to, but this is how you'd really do math. And she just like, her mind was blown. Like, why don't we do this? This is so much easier.
This is way easier. I did the same thing with my daughter. Like, I showed her the right way to do it. She's like, well, that's not the way they're showing us in school. Okay, well, I'm going to show you the way to get the right answer. And now that you know what the right answer is, you can, like, do it backwards the way they want you to do it to give them what they need, but at least you have the right answer. Like, let me show you the easy way to do this.
Yeah, I really hate it.
5 new Star Wars movies announced.
5 new Star Wars movies were announced. New ones. One of which, they kind of gave a little bit of details. One of which is going to be basically closing up all the TV shows. It's like a grand finale to all the TV shows. And then another one they announced is going to include Daisy Ridley returning as Rey.
Well, I know one of the new Star Wars movies is called The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Yes, that's one of the other ones.
They were talking about doing a new trilogy.
Yeah. The ones that were announced were just like the Grogu and Mandalorian one. They said that they were going to do one to wrap up the TV shows, and then one was going to include Rey. I didn't give any details on the other 2, but it said that that they were going to be making 5.
And
hopefully they're not all trash.
I hope they go back to the original way of doing Star Wars, entertaining.
Yeah.
I don't know. Unlike some of y'all, I actually enjoy some of these actual TV series. Like Andor, I enjoyed because it was different. I wanted them to do Lando as a TV series, though.
I enjoyed the first season of Mandalorian.
I enjoyed all of them. Even Mandalorian 2.5.
I watched the first 2 seasons and I enjoyed it, but after that, nope.
Yeah, the Book of Boba Fett, season 2.5.
See, Boba Fett was one of my favorite characters in Star Wars, and I did not enjoy the Boba Fett series at all because they did him dirty. They did him dirty in that.
Yoda was always my favorite.
I would be down for a Yoda series. That'd be
amazing.
Cool. But it's got to be like the Jim Henson puppet Yoda. Like, they got to do it old school.
Not the CG stuff. But they have the CG can be so advanced now they can make it look like puppet.
I would honestly watch a whole season of a TV show of just Yoda running around Dagobah doing random things because it was hilarious. I loved Yoda. But
this apple has 3 credits. The
prequels were not my favorites, but I have to say one of my geekiest moments of all time in Star Wars was that first time Yoda busted out his lightsaber and you just see the green come out and he starts flipping around the room. I freaked out, man. I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
He deployed the grasshopper technique.
Yeah, it was amazing.
So VR, AR, and MR, mixed reality, is definitely on a huge rise right now. There are, last I looked, about 60 different companies trying to invent and create their own, mostly MR, mixed reality. Seems to be the big trend right now, which is a combination of VR and AR. And there's a couple that are out currently, and one that's going to be out soon. But MetaQuest, the 3S, 128 gig mixed reality. So it has AR cameras as well as VR setup, and it's only $300. The MetaQuest 3 512 is $500. The HTC Vive XR Elite, considered to be the best on the market currently, is $900. So you're gonna be paying for that power. And the Apple Vision Pro, which is coming out, I guess, early next year, $3,500.
That one is so overpriced.
It's Apple. Of course it is.
It's way overpriced, but if you watch the videos of people with it,
I've seen the specs, man. The HTC Vive is way more powerful.
Well,
I don't know. I've been watching. Like I haven't seen the HTC Vive, but I've seen people walking around with the Apple Vision Pro, and it literally the Vision Pro literally looks like some Tony Stark tech. Like what they're seeing and how they're manipulating it.
Typical for all the MR AR sets.
Looks so cool.
I mean, even the $300 MetaQuest 3S does that.
You know what VR system I'm really looking forward to? The holodeck.
That's so bad. That's not VR. That's just alternate reality.
Technically, it is virtual reality because while yes, it is okay. Nerdiness kick in here. Yes, it is using the same technology as a transporter and building real life structures and people and stuff, which is freaky that it's a computer building a person.
But it's all it is tricking your mind. It's not actually there.
No, it's actually there. They actually explain it.
There, they could get hurt in there. and you wouldn't be able to get hurt.
The holodeck takes, just like the Doctor, the holographic Doctor, how he can hurt you from in Star Trek Voyager. It's that same technology. It is real substances in front of you that you're touching and feeling and all of that. So it's light and energy, but it's, for all intents and purposes, real.
Well, before we get to the holodeck, let's meet in the middle with Ready Player One.
Because that's straight VR. That's straight
Sword Art Online.
VR.
I mean, they got like the multi-directional pad that he's running on and everything. That's like,
that's more like an SR, sensor reality. So the idea of being able to hit the optic or the particular nerve centers in your brain that control scent, sight, audio, all that, pretty dangerous, but be wickedly cool.
Oh man,
I would love to have a system like Sword Art Online, a neural interface.
I mean, Elon Musk could probably make it happen. He's already got the neural link going on.
I don't want it to where if I die in a game, my body dies in real life because I'm trapped inside the VR system.
What's interesting is if you had about $10,000 right now to drop on a setup, a VR setup, they have neuralizer setups now that can combine to like 400 or 500 different scents based on the input of what you're doing. You have the full body haptic, which is out there and actually getting very, very good, by the way. The glove haptics, obviously the visual, and then the audio. It costs you, I think, last I looked, to get a full setup to make it as realistic as possible is like around $10,000.
Yeah, but they don't have,
including those ones that you can walk on.
See, if you could have that, that's cool to have all that set up, but you got to have like the world to support it, like in Ready Player One. You gotta
right
have
now it's
the
just
Oasis.
the games and stuff like
that.
You
gotta have the Oasis.
Nah.
You know how the problem is I would love to use something like that in Call of Duty, but people hack and cheat in that game so much that in real life, before my body can actually physically adapt, I'm already dead.
Yeah. Speaking of which,
they have
the
games
new
specifically
Call of Duty
for
just
VR.
came out, and it's on Game Pass. I'm really tempted to try it, check it out.
What?
I've been tempted too.
I've heard the new zombie mode is pretty cool.
I never really cared for the zombie modes.
I love the zombies.
I was always a multiplayer guy. I just went in there and did combat.
I'm tempted since I already have Game Pass anyway, and I can just play it. I'm tempted to give it a shot.
Outside of Modern Warfare, where me and Wigit did the battle zone, the war zone, I haven't really touched Call of Duty because their stories are the exact same as the stories before, and I prefer campaigns over online multiplayer.
I never played a single Call of Duty campaign.
See, I never did either. And I really I always play them for the online multiplayer, but my biggest issue with Call of Duty is that I hate having to pay $60 a year basically to get a couple updated maps. But if it's on Game Pass and I'm already paying for Game Pass, that's another story. I can jump on board that.
Mm-hmm.
Just like if they do the same thing with Madden, where I don't have to buy it and I can just, hop on Game Pass every time a new one comes out.
Or
I can get on board that.
EA Sports actually starts charging for updated rosters for the new season and not charging a whole new game. I think they could make money there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if it's just on Game Pass, then I don't have to pay anything.
That's true.
I don't even have to pay a subscription.
I didn't even see. I was on Game
Pass.
Pass and I didn't even see Madden, the newest Madden on there.
I don't think it is yet. I think it's still just 24.
I want the EA Sports college game so I can build me and Wigit playing for. It's not for one of our own personal college.
I was gonna say, are you gonna have them playing for Texas?
No, actually, lately I've been on a kick of Navy. When I create a player in Madden, he's from he went to Navy because I actually served in the Navy. So
speaking of which, of sports in general, if there's any listeners out there who work for like ESPN or any of those companies that have all these analysts that are like 40-50% on their picks, like we're all over 60% right now. Like
most
we're
of us.
killing it.
Two of them are below.
If you want to get aren't like all
we're
of us
all above
here,
55%.
Yeah, so if you ever want to get some analysts who actually know football and know some picks,
we've been killing it.
We actually go by what we see on the thing and not what their skill sets are supposed to be and whatnot.
Even though all of us dropped a couple games this week because no one in the world expected the Browns to beat the Ravens.
Well, despite the fact that this is one of our more losses than normal, I'm 10-4. You're 9-5. Jeremy's 9-5, and we got two that are my dad's 11-3. Kilo's 10-4, and the worst player right now, my brother, is 8-6. So everyone's way above that 50% mark, even for this week, which was not as good as our previous weeks.
And when Dallas loses tonight, then me and Wigit will be even again.
That's the deciding factor. Me and Archon have been neck and neck in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Ever since I had my 14-0.
Yeah, no one in the world expected the Browns to beat the Ravens, just like no one in the world expected the Rams to beat the Vikings, but somehow, with a bunch of help from the ref.
None of us, except for Joe, expected the New England to beat somebody.
I actually went in and looked at the stats and how they were at home and the different factors between them, and it came down to like a near 50-50 split on it, but New England was at home, so I had to give them the edge, so I had to pick them.
One of the biggest shockers for me this week is I can't believe Jacksonville almost beat the Packers.
Yeah.
Like, that was way too close.
That was way insane.
Too close.
Second game in a row where they won by a field goal at the end of the game.
I've given up on my Cowboys being a good team this year as long as they're owned by Jerry Jones and have Mike McCarthy as their head coach. So I'm paying attention to Texas and college.
My Buffalo Bills showed up today.
Here's a stat for you guys. This is the wildest stat that I've ever seen. The quarterback went 12 for 15 for 85 yards and 3 touchdowns. The team won 52-14.
That's one hell of defensive game.
Yeah, that was the Lions this week.
Yeah.
Jared Goff only went 12 for 15 for 85 yards, and they had 52 points.
Yeah, their defense was on point.
I have a feeling I'm going to be the only person picking Green Bay next week.
Against the Lions?
Yep. They're going to be at home, so I don't know.
Yeah, I've got to pick. I'm sorry, I got to pick the Lions.
Lions are going to destroy them, dude.
I don't know. It could be an upset.
Lions beat the Vikings.
Because
Vikings beat the Packers.
Yeah, but still, it's a divisional game, and they act differently. And at Lambeau Field is a different animal. And Green Bay's not a bad team.
I don't know if this sways your decision or not. I know you're a Green Bay kind of fan, but Jordan Love went out in the third quarter of this week.
We'll see how he goes. But the backup quarterback's a really, really good quarterback.
Yeah, but your team dynamic is different when you have Jordan Love versus your backup.
We'll see.
And I don't think anybody's... I hate to say this because I'm a big Vikings fan.
I have a couple days to think about it.
I don't think anybody's they're stopping that Lions offense right now. Their offense is just insane. It's just too good.
Just remember, there's going to be Ohtani's going to hit a home run. A flag is going to be thrown on the play, and an NFL official is going to come out and say the Chiefs won the Super Bowl.
Chiefs won the World Series.
Chiefs. In 3 weeks, I can't wait for that Buffalo Bills versus the Kansas City game.
I just want the Chiefs to lose.
They will.
I just want the Chiefs to lose every single day.
They're going to lose next week, and then they're going to lose 2 weeks after that.
And then I want Kermit the Frog to come onto the microphone and be like, "Yeah, the refs just weren't doing what they were paid to do today, and I don't know what happened." Yeah.
Had to get our football talk in.
Yeah.
Had to.
Well, that's pretty much it for today's show. Anything else you guys want to bring up before we wrap it up? Nope.
No,
I'll take that as confirmation. If you guys want to reach out to this show for business, advertising, you name it, podcastraw@gmail.com is this show's email.
Marketing.
One of the best ways to get a hold of us is through our Discord and talk with other people in the community. Discord.gg/raw podcasts. RAWPODCASTS. We are almost always checking it. At least one or two of us all the time. Our Twitter is @PodcastRaw. Our Facebook is Raw Podcasts. Our Instagram
for marketing is Raw Podcast 1. I forgot what it was for a second.
You follow us individually as well. I am @TheWigit, TheWigit. You can search my name in Google and you will find my books too.
You can follow me anywhere as Tomcat213 or some variation of, except for on Steam and what's the other one? X. I am Rook213.
And you can follow me on social media as the Archon606 or on video game platforms as QuickQWICK_D_606.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody, and have a fantastic nerdy week.
Y'all stay nerdy now. You hear?
Have a great week, guys.